Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Craig Carton Show. I'm Tyrone Johnson in for Craig today on this beautiful Friday. The weather's great on the East Coast. A lot to get to today, but we have to start where we have to start, and that's NBA Finals Game 2, because the Spurs season right now is on the line. If the Spurs lose tonight, the series is over, and the New York Knicks will win the NBA championship for the first time in more than 50 years. And really the question that we have to get to right away is, how will these young Spurs respond? And just as importantly, how does Mitch Johnson, the coach, who coached like a Mitch in Game 1, how does he respond to this? Because I can tell you right now, the Knicks are calm, they're cool, they're collected, just like their best player, and it's on the Spurs to somehow meet that almost lack of emotion. And that's the weird thing going into a game. We know that the Knicks play very hard. We've seen them all season long, and we see how they buzzsaw teams in the playoffs. But it starts with their leader, who seems to, outside of getting mad one time when he got stepped on in Game 1, I don't know if he's capable of emotion. And we'll talk more about Jalen Brunson later, but this guy, Jalen Brunson, is a cool, calm assassin, okay? If you told me that he had killed 27 people, I go, yeah, I believe it. I mean, sure. I mean, the guy shows no other emotion. If you also told me that he goes to orphanages and adopts 1,000 kids, I believe that too. The guy has nothing on his face. And the young Spurs have been very, very emotional, much more emotional on their face. And I mean, they're kids, I understand it. But that's going to be key. So let's get the particulars of the game onto the screen so everybody can see it. For our betting friends out there, we have, you go ahead and put it up. You see that the spread has grown. It was 4.5 2 days ago. It's now up to, right after the game, up to 6.5 on the Spurs side. You see the money line and the total 214.5 points. That line is saying, okay, if you speak line, and I do, okay, the line will speak to you if you listen to it. The line is saying that the world believes, Vegas believes, if you think that matters, that the Spurs are going to counter. They are the more desperate team. They need the game more, and they will win the game tonight. That's what the Vegas line says. That's what, if you speak line, that's what it's saying. But ultimately, it's about the Spurs tonight, because the Knicks have been remarkably consistent. You know what they are night to night. You know what they bring night to night. And Mike Brown, a guy who does have who has won a lot of games in the NBA, is finally maybe getting his due, because he's been the much better coach the last couple of series. I mean, Kenny Atkinson, in my opinion, should have been let go because of how Mike Brown pantsed him. And in Game 1, he did the same thing to Mitch Johnson. And I just want to put this to bed, because there was a lot of talk about it, and it's something that's floating online, that Thibodeau somehow deserves credit for this. I want to be clear about this. He doesn't. Okay, you don't get credit for something you didn't do, okay? Right now, if you're a Knicks fan, or if you're not a Knicks fan, but Ethan, our producer, is a Knicks fan, do we really believe that if Thibodeau was still the coach, that the Knicks would be in this same spot? My answer is no. You would have never had this much depth. Landry Shamet would have never saw the court under Tibbs. Instead, OG goes down. That's when he inserts Landry Shamet into the rotation. OG comes back. Landry Shamet stays in the rotation. Alvarado stays in the rotation. He's played 3 centers at times when he's had 2 in a game because of cat foul trouble. Mike Brown has done a tremendous job, and I have to give the guy credit. When he was with LeBron, and there was a bunch of other players who really couldn't play, he took a lot of heat for the Cavs' failures, and he should have. And he should have taken heat. He took a lot of heat with the Lakers. I think going to Golden State, being around a larger group of players, has made him a better coach. And if you're in the city of New York right now, and we're close to it, I mean, you can wait till the end of the season. You can wait until the championship is won, because obviously nothing's done yet. But if you go up 2-0, it's time to start thanking Mike Brown and give Leon Rose a tremendous amount of credit for getting rid of Thibodeau, because the Knicks would never be in this spot with Thibodeau, and it is a gigantic deal that they are in this spot. But going back to the Spurs, as I said, because that's what it's about. These kids, conventional wisdom says they shouldn't even have been here. Wemby, as a 22-year-old, as the best player, is some of the rarest things. I've talked about it when I'm in the seat a lot of times. It's an extremely rare thing for a 22-year-old to be the best player like this. I keep seeing people online talking about Magic Johnson and not knowing anything about Magic Johnson. Respectfully, If you can go to, I want to give you a website to help everybody because I'm a person who wants to help, okay? I have a kind heart. I want to help people. It's what I'm about. Go to dot is period if you don't know on your keyboard. Google.com, okay? www.google.com. And Google when Magic Johnson was a rookie, because people keep bringing this up, and I want to help you. I am a person who helps, okay? First, I'm about help. You'll see that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I don't know if you've heard of him, some of the people that are getting this wrong, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, his name was Lou Alcindor before that. He was league MVP that season. So no, it's not like what Wemby's doing this year because Wemby is the MVP candidate. He's not playing with the league MVP. Do we understand that now so we can stop bringing up Magic Johnson? Please, 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 I'm begging you, please. But what Wemby's done so far is something we have not really ever seen, okay, as the lead dog. If you look it up, Magic's the youngest, but he doesn't count. It's him, then there's LeBron, and then, believe it or not, it's Shaquille O'Neal for the youngest guys to be the lead dog getting to an NBA Finals. Wemby is the youngest as the number one guy. LeBron is the second youngest. Shaquille O'Neal is the third youngest. This is uncharted territory. And he was extremely emotional after Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, and people got on him because the Knicks stay here, and Wemby seems to be a bit of a roller coaster with his emotions. Can he get into his Buddhist monk bag? Because if he does, the Spurs win tonight. If he can stay calm and his team stays calm and his coach stays calm, then tonight the Spurs win. And then Monday at Madison Square Garden, tied 1-1, we have one of the most exciting and electric atmospheres we can possibly have. Because that means that Game 3 will be everything at that moment. If he cannot control his emotions, if he cannot keep himself together, if he acts like the youngest player to lead his team to the NBA Finals in NBA history like he is, if he acts that way, then they have no shot. And then Game 3 on Monday becomes just a party because the Knicks will now be rolling downhill on their way to their first championship in 50-some years. That's where this lies, and that's the pressure on Wemby. But he keeps on beating the odds over and over again. Again, he's a player that we've never seen, a unique player, but 6 turnovers in Game 1. He did not play particularly well in Game 1. Did a lot of things defensively. We see the effect he has on the game, but that's not enough. Also, his coach did him no favors in the fourth quarter. He got pants by Mitch Johnson, got pants just flat out. He got out coached. But if Wemby can be Wemby tonight, then the Knicks, who can play better at the edges, you're not going to have a better finish from Brunson than you had in Game 1 because it's impossible for him to finish better than he did in Game 1. That, to me, is what this is all about. The emotion of the Knicks, how calm they are, how they play the same way every single night, and their approach doesn't change. Can the Spurs meet that? And I don't mean that intensity. I actually am calling for the lack of intensity. Calm down and realize that once the game starts, it's just a basketball game. You remember when you were like Romeo and Juliet, for example. The reason when that's set, they're teenagers is because when you're young, everything feels like the end of the world. You remember that anxious feeling you have before you go to school, before you go to college, something that in the grand scheme of things is so small. But in your mind, because you're young, you think it's huge. You think this is gigantic. You get overwhelmed by it. I think you saw some of that from the coach and some of those players down the stretch in that fourth quarter in Game 1. If they grow up really quick, they're just as talented as the Knicks. They can win Game 2, and they will win Game 2. But if they can't do it, then the series will be over about 11 o'clock tonight. That's the stakes of the game tonight. If the Spurs have their minds right, they can go out there and play basketball, and we have a long, I believe, 7-game series. If they lose tonight, now they're in danger of being swept. But regardless of how it happens, the series will be over tonight. That's the stakes for the game. The Spurs are 6.5-point favorites. I'm going to say it right now. I believe the Spurs win tonight big. Show. Tyrone Johnson in here for Craig today. And I'm looking online, and man, are people abnormal with their reactions to things. You look, it's just people are just, they react to the weirdest things about, they're judging, and I'm going to move on with what I'm going to talk about in just a moment, but they're talking about if the Knicks win, what it'll mean. And most Knicks fans just saying it means a lot. Like, of course it means a lot. Somebody goes, well, the competition isn't that good. If you guys don't shut up, can we stop? Why do we have to poo-poo everything, okay? Why can't we just look at the moment and say it would be a pretty big deal for a team that most people did not pick to win the NBA title would win a damn NBA title? We have to do better. We don't have to hot take ourselves. You have 3 followers, okay? Who do you think you are? You're not Skip Bayless. You have 3 followers, and I don't like him either. Like, and he has a lot of followers. We don't have to hot take everything. We can just watch sports and go, hey, that's good. The Knicks win, it would be a big deal because it would be. Same with the Spurs. It would be a big deal to win an NBA championship when your best player is 22. Cut it out. We don't have to hot take everything in life. We can just watch sports and enjoy it and have opinions, but the opinions don't have to be BS by rule. Now, kind of speaking of that, now that I think of it, the Madden cover came out this week. We didn't get to it before. As you can see right there, Caleb Williams was chosen. It was a weird year as far as picking it, but I have no issue with him. You see the 2 covers. You have the one where he jumped in the air like that to throw. First of all, we've seen him do the jump passes, but he wanted that cover, he said, as a tribute to what a lot of people think is the GOAT, Michael Jordan. No issues with that. Young player, respected athletes that come before him. So I'm okay with him. Ethan says he's the GOAT. He is not the GOAT, but I recognize he's y'all's GOAT. Also, you see him with his hands across, and he has the nails. And I do want to get to that because I have no issue with Caleb Williams as an up-and-coming player being on the Madden cover. Peyton Hillis was on the cover one year. So, I mean, let's not act like this is like, oh, my God, it's so sacred. Yes, Caleb may not be the superstar that we think he can be yet, but also he very well may be the best quarterback in the sport this year, and then they'll look like geniuses. But either way, Peyton Hillis, let's get over it. But as you can see the nails on the one, that has become this big talking point, and I've noticed, and I talked to the producer, Ethan, today, I talked to Ryan as well, and Caleb Williams has become this very, very polarizing figure that everybody has these opinions. And I saw there's this rapper who decides to say a lot of things about named Lil Boosie. And I'm going to say this. People stop asking Boosie stuff, okay? Not that the people here that I work with know who the hell Lil Boosie is, but Lil Boosie's out of his mind, okay? Stop asking him things like he's the person, the arbiter of anything. He knows nothing, Lil Boosie, okay? He is not the person that decides our society. Like, what should we do about this issue? Let's talk to Lil Boosie. Are you kidding me? And now he tries to switch his name because he doesn't want to be Lil Boosie anymore, even though you didn't grow. All right, now he's Boosie Badass, right? You're not badass either. Like, I know you've been to prison, but that's because you have to use a gun. You would be bad if you picked up the hands, and you can't do that, Boosie. But anyway, the nails is what everybody's upset about. Why? Okay, I know I'm here to give opinions, and I will, but why? Why does this guy seem to get under people's skin by just being himself? What does Boosie do? Boosie looks at this guy and goes, oh no, he's going to have, he basically, and I'll say it, okay? Yes, I'll say it. Basically, the thought process is this from people that don't like Caleb Williams' nails because they've said it out loud, okay? Now, I don't agree with this opinion because it's stupid, but this is the opinion. That somehow, because Caleb Williams is a role model because he's on the Madden cover and he's an NFL quarterback, he paints his nails. That's then going to make other boys paint their nails. My response is, I don't want to paint my nails, but so what? But that's not what they're really saying. Because I followed up on that and go, so why does that bother you so much? Okay, so if you had a son that painted his nails black, you now have a son that painted his nails black. And even if that's not your preference, as long as he does well in school and doesn't get in trouble, why do you care? They believe somehow, magically, that these nails are going to turn their sons homosexual. That's what they really believe. That's what Boosie and all these critics seem to believe. So let me understand this. This kid is 12, right? He, at this point, likes girls, okay? His anatomy, whatever you believe, he likes women. He sees Caleb Williams throw a football with painted nails, and suddenly he likes dudes? I don't think that's how it works. And I think we talk about this thing where, we're taking down men and these men don't know where to go and their lives are so hard. No, they're making their lives hard. You're picking up a battle that you don't need to fight because it's not a real battle. Caleb Williams painting his nails has nothing to do with you and has nothing to do with anybody's orientation. They don't change your orientation by the nails. Just because a woman paints her nails, does that automatically mean that if she takes the nail polish off, she's now tough? She was feminine with the nails painted, but if she takes the polish off, now she's a man? We have to stop with this. Toxic masculinity is a term that is widely overused, okay? Widely overused. We know that. But this is it. I can't help but think, because he makes you feel uncomfortable because of your toxic masculinity, that you have to move a certain way, that somehow this guy being on the cover of Madden. Can we get the cover one more time, please? Those two covers. How does this offend you so much to now you think, oh, no, it's going to ruin little boys? Which is literally what some of these people are saying out there. Little boys are going to see that, and then they're going to want to live like him. What? You mean they don't know? How does he live based on these covers? I look at these covers, I can't see how he lives. The only thing I can see from these covers is that apparently if you know nothing, you go, okay, he plays for the Bears. I see his road and home jerseys. I see one, he's jumping to throw a football in the Jordan pose, and I see the other one, he has his nails on the cover in the other one. That's all I learned from this. I don't learn a single thing else from this. We have to stop, okay? There are so many real issues. It costs $1 billion to fill up your gas tank. The economy is not doing great if you're looking for a job right now. I've heard that from a bunch of people, okay? It's tough out in these streets, okay? It's hot outside. The summer's coming. It's going to cost you a bunch to AC the home. There are real issues that we can talk about whenever you want. But how do we still find time to complain about silly stuff like that when real things are happening in the world? We have to cut this out, okay? Caleb Williams is not the problem. His job is not to raise your kids, and him painting his nails doesn't make anything harder for you. So either you buy the cover, because you're buying it online. You're not even buying it anymore. You buy the cover, okay? You play Madden like we've been doing forever, and you just get over it. There's nothing wrong with the painted nails. Caleb Williams is fine. You, sir, you are the problem.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all in the Atlanta Braves. Good baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
That's for Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time? And he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Well, the talk has been about sports betting handle being down or flat, right, because of the threat of prediction markets and the growth of them. But we've seen Kalshi actually kind of plateau for the first time in recent memory. Looking at a graphic right now, we've had the spike for the Super Bowl, and then this is usually when things die down. Yes, there's March Madness, but usually sports betting handle kind of goes down over the course of the spring and summer until we get back to football season.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
man. A lot of good stuff happens during the commercial break. Tyrone Johnson in for Crazy on a Friday. He'll be back on Monday. I hope everybody has a tremendous weekend. The weather, at least on the East Coast, is supposed to be pretty nice. I hope it is where you are. We got people all over the country. We really appreciate that. All right, I want to get to something it's not sports, if you indulge me for just a moment, but it's what millions of people are talking about. And this is this summer house thing, and we got some rules. So first off, let's just give a round of applause for the lovely Sierra. I'm Team Sierra. If you're not Team Sierra, then I have a problem with you. So hi, Sierra, as you can see her on the screen. And because of that, what happens is, to just give you a quick synopsis in case you don't watch Summer House, is basically Sierra dated a guy. Her best friend, Amanda, who was married, or technically still married, started dating her ex, okay? And people are going, well, you can't help who you like. First of all, we're adults, right? You can help what you do, okay? We sit here at this studio to an open restaurant / bar right here, and sometimes it's empty, sometimes there's women here. We're able to look at the woman and go, she's attractive without pulling your pants down, okay? We know that you have control of your actions. So stop with the you can't help it. So I wanted to just do some simple rules so that everybody can come to a bit of an understanding about things in life, okay? And I am saying that these rules aren't just for me. These are basic rules for life, okay? Here are 3 life rules that can help all of us, and I imagine 95 to 97% of you probably already know these. But some people seem to need some review, okay? And number 1 is related to Summer House and all this drama, and that is your friends' exes are off limits, period, full stop. Now, there are certain exceptions to this, and really it's only one. No, there's 2 exceptions. Death, if your friend passes away, okay, I guess then the ex could be back in play in theory. But you gotta wait half the time in a relationship. So if they were together 20 years, after a 10-year span after their death, they're now back in play. If they were together for 1 year and you die, 6 months back in play, half the time of the relationship, okay? That's the part of it. And then the only other exception, if someone goes to you and says, I mean this person's great, it didn't work out with me, but I think you would be a good fit. I'm encouraging you to do so. Now, tread lightly, but other than that, exes are off limits. It's very simple, okay? Off limits. Are you allowed to look at them and go, that person's attractive? Duh, yes. That doesn't mean you pull the pants down. Just keep the pants on and everything's fine. You become friends. You can even quote unquote like each other. But you don't do the deed with your friend's ex ever. It's off limits. Easy rule that we should all be following. Now let's go back to sports for a moment with rule number 2. I am tired of these fans, and this does not apply to Knicks fans, but it does apply to Yankees fans, where they're Duke fans and Lakers fans. You must always root for your local sports teams, okay? That means if you have children and you move, you now have a responsibility, okay? I am from the Philadelphia area. I work in New York. If I had children in New York, I now have the responsibility that I will remain a Philadelphia fan because that's who I am. But my kids would be a Knicks fan because you can't pick the Nets. They would be a Yankees fan because I can't pick the Mets. They would be football would be tough. A Giants fan because I can't pick the Jets, okay? They would be a Rangers fan. Although I am a good personal close friend of Jacques Lemaire from the Devils, okay? I love Jacques Lemaire. I love the left wing lock. Martin Brodeur to you guys, my good friend. Marty Brodeur, that's what I'm allowed to call him because he let me say it. The Devils would be enticing, but I would have to root for the Rangers. Those are the rules, okay? Why? Because that's the only way to live real. Imagine living in New York City right now and you're walking around with a damn Timberwolves jersey on. You look like an idiot, okay? You have to root for the local teams. And yes, that means it's almost like a birthright. It's how it goes. If you live in a certain city, you're screwed. Cleveland, yeah, it's tough. I get it, okay? Don't live in Cleveland then, okay? But once you do, those are your teams. Those are your teams, and that's it. And number 3, this is the one that's come out. At group dinners, you just split the check, okay? If you just split the check, that's it, okay? All this, well, I don't drink, and Sally drank wine. So what? You went out with Sally, you split it. This is not difficult. This is a new thing that keeps popping up. I thought this was decided, okay? It's these millennials or whatever, these Gen Z or whatever it might be, and then these old heads, okay? Let's meet in the middle and let's use our heads. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. If you go out for a group meal, you split it, okay? You split it. That's it. You don't nickel and dime people, okay? If for some reason somebody goes nuts, you say that ahead of time, like, what the heck is that? That's yours. But that's a 1 in a million situation. You split the check. This is not difficult, okay? If you live by these 3 simple rules, I promise you one thing. It won't be perfect, but your life will at least be less problematic. And we don't need extra problems these days. Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here in for Craig. Craig will be back on Monday. I hope everybody has a tremendous weekend. Obviously, NBA Finals Game 2 tonight. Real fast before I get into everything else that I'm going to get to, it is a little bit weird. I was talking to Ethan during the break that we don't have that Sunday game. And a Game 7 won't be on a Sunday either. They basically avoided Sundays for the entire finals. It is a little bit weird. They decided to go with the Wednesday, Friday, Monday. I would have rather Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Just as an aside, it's just something that's on the top of my mind. But listen, we're going to watch. And Friday, I think the bar atmosphere in New York and San Antonio is going to be crazy and insane. It's a Friday night, but there's more competition of things to do Friday night, but we know in New York it's going to be crazy. There's a new thing, 82-o.com that everybody's doing, and we decided to do it. And let's put it on the screen. It's 82/o.com. I want everybody 4,000 times, okay? But I did get 82 and 0. Ethan and Ryan, I both put them kind of on the spot. Ethan had the least amount of time. Ryan this morning was doing it for so long. Ryan got all his work done, and Ethan, and we were like, I gotta be honest, I prepped a lot less for this show because of this, okay? Hey, you get what you get, okay? I'm a human, okay? I am human, but I wanted to share this with you. This thing is awesome. So the way it works is, and then I'll look at everybody's individual team is, it's a randomizer. And you'll get different teams of throughout the decades, and you pick a player for that position. So let's say you get, I'm making up a player, you get Dwayne Wade and you want to put him at the 2 or Kobe Bryant. You can do that, But you do know that Michael Jordan could come up, and where would you put him? And they assign at different positions, and it's been just great. You got a center, power forward, small forward, shooting guard, point guard, very simple. Now, they are apparently working on one, and they're looking for donations. And if you so choose, I'm going to donate after the show because I owe them money because I used thousands of dollars of their bandwidth by playing this thing so many times. I owe them money, okay? They could bill me, okay? It's one of those situations where I'm not going to be able to live without this thing. I love it, okay? My entire train ride home, this is what I'm doing. I already know. I can't wait, okay? I'm very excited about it. But they're apparently going to bring it to football and branch out with the other sports. So if you guys don't mind, please put it back on the screen so everybody can see the teams that we got this morning. Ethan's team was just an incredible team of LeBron, World Be Free, who's sneakily great, Adrian Dantley, who can really fill it up. So I think the only reason he lost more games is Sharif Abdul-Rahim, and then from the old school, Elvin Hayes. You see that got him a 70-12 record. Then you have producer Ryan, Chris Paul at the 1, Luka at the 2, Jordan, you're able to put at the 3. Spencer Haywood from the old school. And you can put LeBron in all 5 positions because he's the GOAT, as I've referenced earlier. He's the GOAT, so you can put him anywhere. Okay, he's the GOAT. Ethan says he's number 2. I take a number 2 to that take. And you have him at 76 and 6. And then I don't know how I got 82. I go, other than just, if you keep on playing it enough times, sooner or later you'll get it. And you can see World Be Free, who scored 30 points a night. Got a scoring title. People forget about that with World Be Free. James Harden at the 2, regular season. Remember, he's not going to do anything in the playoffs, but hell of a regular season player. Elgin Baylor, Elvin Hayes, and Wemby. And that got to the 82-0. That's 82/0.com. It's been great. I saw so many people are using this website. I love it. I adore it. I want all of you guys to go play it while the show is still on and have fun with it. And there's 2 modes. You can do the mode where they have the stats in front of you, or if you really want to challenge yourself, they have just the names. I think that's more for people that are more old school because, like, I knew Elvin Hayes was great. I didn't know he was that great. The stats absolutely helped me. But if you're old school, and you know all the guys from the 60s especially, that's really what will trip you up if you don't have the all the stats. But I think this thing is awesome. I've loved it. But what can you do? In fact, Ryan's supposed to be working, okay? Ryan's supposed to be working. He did it while he's working during the show. He got 79-3 with Jerry West, I'll tell you, Billy Knight, who I've never seen play, Michael Jordan, obviously, Jason Tatum, and Wilt Chamberlain. So from the Warriors, when he was scoring, a 100-point game was with the Warriors. He got 79-3 with that one because he's just playing it nonstop. I don't know who Billy Knight is. Ethan doesn't know who Billy Knight is, but that got you 79-3. Go do that. It's awesome. It is awesome. All right. Let's get back to the Knicks for a moment. I want to talk specifically about Jalen Brunson a little bit because with Wemby, even though he's a young player, as we talked about in the beginning of the show, because he's so tall, and Brunson is a small guard, and we saw all the commentary about him being a small guard, and it's hard to win as a small guard. Basically, to win a championship, there's been 2 small guards that have been the best player on a championship team. Okay, Isaiah Thomas and Curry, and that's it. Okay, AI got there. Tiny Archibald won a title, but not as the lead guy. We've seen small guards exist, but as the lead guy, it's happened twice, winning a championship. Others have gotten there. Isaiah Thomas, as great as Chris Paul was, we know that. Isaiah Thomas and Curry. And if Curry is taller than Brunson. So what Brunson is looking to pull off is something that's very rare because whether it's the 50s to now, basketball is a sport for tall people. And while 6'1" is plenty tall for life, it's short for the NBA. And it got me to thinking about this David versus Goliath situation. When you look at Wemby's stature is so tall, and you look at Brunson, the conventional wisdom is the tall guy will win, and historically that's been the case. But Brunson has this opportunity to sort of break that mold, and that adds a level to me of intrigue into this series. And you can't help it. And the reason you know you can't help it is not because of you as a basketball fan, it's you with knowing people that aren't a basketball fan. Go to your mother if she's still with you. Go to your grandmother. Go to your aunties, right? Have them look at the game, and I guarantee if she watches the game for 2 minutes, she'll say, well, who's that little guy? Because you can't help but notice when you watch NBA basketball when a little guy is cooking everybody else. It's something that you just notice. He has that gift, and it's rare to see it on this stage. We saw the AI beating Shaq and Kobe in the finals in that game. and he does the step over Tyrone Lue. We all remember that moment from 20-some years ago. And then they lost the series because Kobe was 6'6", and Shaq was a 7-footer, and those guys went on to win because that's what usually happens. Brunson's trying to change that. And if he pulls that off, man, I don't know where he'll rank. I don't know what we'll think about it, but we know he'll go into the stratosphere. But it got me to think about, where is he right now with the Knicks? Where is he right now? And I actually think I'm more qualified to talk about this because I don't have any emotion attached to any of these players, okay? Right now, I think that Jalen Brunson, by bringing the Knicks to the finals, is already a top 4 Knick of all time. But he's not first, and I'm going to say it out loud. Even if he wins a championship this year, he won't be first all time. He will absolutely be first of his era, and he will move by 2 of the other people on this list. Let's get to the Mount Rushmore for Knicks all time. You got to put Clyde Frazier. You got to put him number 1, all right? 2 titles in 70 and 73. He was the lead dog, and we'll get to the guy who gets all the credit coming up. He's number 1, and 1 title will not, especially against a young Spurs team, but regardless, I don't care who they're playing, 1 title alone doesn't put Brunson ahead of him. He is number 1 for at least another year after this, maybe longer, okay? He may be number 1 forever with the Knicks. Time will tell. Number 2 still has to be Willis Reed. Did nothing in that game, but him going out there, Wilt Chamberlain taking heat for that. When he did nothing is one of the things that should not knock him, but Willis Reed still belongs there. I know there are certain Knicks fans of certain ages are hating on this man, but Patrick Ewing still is ahead of Brunson for now. He's been to the finals. He got to in Game 7, lost to a better team, lost to a better center. And it looked like it could be, is that Jamaican Wemby or is that Patrick Ewing? I don't know. It could be Jamaican Wemby. I don't know which is which. And number 4, though, is Jalen Brunson. It's absolutely Jalen Brunson. I believe if Jalen Brunson wins, he moves to 2nd, though. He would move past Ewing and past Willis Reed, who did nothing in one of those finals due to injury. But he came out there and played, and we know about the story. Meanwhile, Frazier's out there doing all the work. But Brunson will move up to number 2, not to number 1. But to me, with what he's done this year and what he's done for this city these last 2 years, he has become a top 4 Knick, ahead of Melo, ahead of a lot of guys throughout history, but he is not quite number 1 yet. He's got to win more than 1 title.
The talk has been about sports betting handle being down or flat, right, because of the threat of prediction markets and the growth of them. But we've seen Kalshi actually kind of plateau for the first time in recent memory. Looking at a graphic right now, we've had the spike for the Super Bowl, and then this is usually when things die down. Yes, there's March Madness, but usually sports betting handle kind of goes down over the course of the spring and summer until we get back to football season.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
For Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time and he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
This is all about headlines, Donnie.
Yep.
If we hear, if that noise gets louder as we get closer, then 45 cents is going to be 65 cents, and that's the repricing we're talking about. I don't need Utah to get him. I need people to think Utah is going to go up and get him, Donnie, and that's how you make money.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
Craig Carton along with Tyrone Johnson. We got great news for you. CraigCartonShow.com. And Tyrone, what do you get if you go to that amazing website?
Well, right now you can subscribe to our upcoming newsletter. You put in your email address, and then bang, you'll get all the new Craig Carton Show content when it arrives.
Not just that, you also get merch drops, exclusive content, and appearances. So again, one more time, that website is CraigCartonShow.com.
Welcome back to the Craig Carton Show, Tyrone Johnson in here today. And let me tell you, I'm having fun doing this show on a Friday. Craig will be back on Monday. And I get to talk about some things that I wouldn't necessarily be able to talk about if Craig was here because he's become a fake Yankees fan. And just for the record, if you become a fan of a team out of hate for others, it's not real fandom. Fandom is steeped in love, not hate. So I really don't understand why Yankee fans, even, I'll say this out loud, Yankees fans should not have accepted Craig Carton. He was a Mets fan his whole life. Then, because the Phillies got to the World Series, he became a Yankees fan out of hate. And y'all just accept him? What's wrong with y'all? But anyway, we'll get to 09 in just a moment and why that's so significant for a lot of Yankees fans and how it should be probably even more significant and will grow to be more significant. I hope all of you were alive and outside in 09. But let's get to Aaron Judge first. Man, unfortunately, out a minimum, they're saying of 4 to 6 weeks due to ribs, but they're also looking at it being a possible. You can go ahead and put it on the screen there. That's a big dude, a very good player, very, very great player, really. But durability starting to be a concern. And with that, so is the Yankees. So are the Yankees' chances of winning the World Series. They're saying 4 to 6 weeks at the minimum, but this apparently could be kind of complicated. They're trying to check if he has thoracic outlet syndrome, which would take him out the rest of the season if that was to happen, and you see him next year. There's no path for the Yankees to win a World Series if that man isn't 100%. And I'm a person who's an Aaron Judge fan. I know a lot of Yankees fans have been down on him for postseason failure, and a lot of people believe the reason the Yankees don't already have a World Series is because him dropping a fly ball. I recognize that that's out there. I'm in the room with somebody who believes that. But regardless of what we think about him overall, there is no path to a World Series for the Yankees without a healthy and cooking Aaron Judge. And it really gets me to thinking about something because, again, I'm an Aaron Judge fan. Him and Ohtani really have taken the game to new heights these last couple of years, and I give him and Ohtani a lot of credit for that, but Ohtani's the one with the rings. And it got me to thinking about this. Now, the longest drought for the Yankees, and this is where the 09 comes into play, was 18 years, from 78 to 96. That was the gap in between World Series championships, and that's unfortunately the time where Don Mattingly was their best player, and that's why Don Mattingly, unfortunately, is ringless. But there's a new drought coming that's going to break that record if you're a Yankees fan. You can show the people. There's a new drought coming, Yankees fans. And I say this as a person who does not hate the Yankees. I've had in the past great respect for the Yankees, but the Yankees don't act like the Yankees anymore. You know who acts like the Yankees now? The Dodgers. That's where my respect goes. The Yankees are going to break this streak. The Yankees has now been 17 years. It's just simple math. You're now in 2026, and 2009 was the last championship. You guys can all do the math. That's 17 years, and you're not winning a World Series this year due to the Judge injury. There's no chance. It's over. You know what that means? The odds of you winning next year with an older Judge is even worse. And we may have a lockout, which may force a season not to happen. The drought is basically guaranteed that if you're a Yankees fan, and I don't care what age you are, you could be 100 years old, 50 years old, and everything in between, 5 years old, this is going to be the longest drought in franchise history, yet it doesn't get talked about because, we make the playoffs every year. That's what people are supposed to care about in Kansas City. That's what people are supposed to care about in Baltimore. Yes, if the Orioles made it every year, great for them. You're the damn New York Yankees. And even Yankees fans don't act like Yankees fans anymore. It used to be a demand for a championship because we have to understand something about pro sports. And this is something that's troubled me about Jets fans. It troubled me as a Phillies fan for my entire existence till I was an adult. Remember, from the time I started watching baseball, I've shared this with people before, but if you don't know, well, you don't have to know. From the time I started watching baseball till I started in this business, my Phillies made the playoffs one time. They were good once. From the moment I started watching baseball, my dad took me to a game, till I was working in sports, they were good once. Yet, if they had fireworks, they would sell out the building because we allowed it to happen. What has happened now with Yankees fans, in my opinion, is they've become too permissive. They've become permissive. And you're okay making the playoffs and being in the mix every year. And that does something for you. And that's a loser mentality. a loser mentality. At the end of the year, and no one's going to win every year, and I recognize that. But at the end of the year, one team wins, and that's the team that had the great season. There's tons of good seasons. Hey, the Pirates are above 500. Yeah, for them, that's a good season. But it's not a great season because there's only one championship, and they give them out every year. Okay, they give them out every year. Somebody's going to be the last team standing every single year. And the Yankees are about to break their longest streak in franchise history without being the last team standing. And a bunch of people just act like it's okay because they make the playoffs. And I'm just looking around at this slate of baseball, and there's a bunch of teams. My Phillies, who started off terrible, fired their manager, they've worked their way right close to the wild card. But guess what? They got a big payroll. And you know what I want them to come back and do? Add at the trade deadline and win the thing and be the last team, because that, at the end of the day, with the big dogs, that's all that matters. Are the Yankees deciding that they're not the big dogs anymore? Because I noticed that with baseball talk when the summer comes around, talk about the Dodgers and all this stuff. All of a sudden, the Yankees are no longer even the top players anymore. What the hell has happened to y'all, and what the hell has happened to this great franchise? Oh, the new building sold out, and it's really expensive to get tickets. What does that do for you in October? What does that do for you in October that your building's full? What does that do for you as a fan in October that you got to watch some games in the summertime, but your team is no longer one to really be taken seriously when the winning happens? Because I can tell you, since 2009, all that drought, you've been to some World Series, but so have a bunch of teams. The Arizona Diamondbacks been to a World Series, so they the same as the Yankees? The Yankees are supposed to be special. Baseball's better when the Yankees are special. And right now, you guys are okay with being good. Hey, we're in the mix every year. You know what? That sounds pathetic. Imagine you go out to the bar, and there's a bunch of women who give you the phone number, but when you follow, and they give you the real number, or your Snapchat, whatever the heck y'all kids do. But when you go to seal the deal, you keep striking out. But hey, you're in the mix for some vagina. No, I don't want to be in the mix for vagina. You want to get the vagina. And the vagina is the championship. And the Yankees are too comfortable not getting it anymore. And the drought is getting a long time. Aren't your arms tired? Aren't your arms tired? Aren't you sore down there? You need the touch of a woman, and that is only provided, Yankees, by a championship, and it's not happening anytime soon.
Terrible start last year, injured all the way through, didn't have a chance to win that Major League Baseball season. This year, first team to 20 wins, first team to 30 wins, first team to 40 wins. It's all in the Atlanta Braves. The baseball club lurking around here.
They still have some guys, some starting pitchers on the shelf there that could help them down the road, but the Braves are sitting pretty right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez is the right call right now. What am I missing? Why is Shohei Ohtani not right there with him? Well, is it the innings, Donnie? What is it? What am I missing here? Because if he qualifies for the pitching title and he throws a lot of innings and he leads the major leagues in earned run average and even whip, like, what am I missing?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all four.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
Show. Tyrone Johnson taking you into the weekend. I hope all of you have a tremendous weekend. I hope you're able to get outside when the weather's nice before it gets too hot. I think it's nice to get some outdoor time. I'm not one of those touch grass people, but I don't know, maybe touch grass. Let's do a little weekend review because 3 big things really happened this week. 2 that got talked about heavily. 1 that kind of got brushed under the rug that is downright concerning or could be scary when it comes to sports. Number 1, I guess we'll start with the A.J. Brown trade from the Eagles to the Patriots for a 2028 first-round pick, 2027 fifth-round pick. And he's talking about he's now in football heaven, and maybe that's the case. And Diana Rossini obviously had the story first, but, I mean, and there probably should be some collusion charges brought up on the Patriots. But here's the funny thing I find where they talk about how the fans will react. Well, how are fans supposed to react? And I'm not a person who blindly defends Philadelphia fans because a lot of Philadelphia fans flat out hate me. I might hate them back, but whatever. Some of them flat out hate me. So it's not that. But, they got mad at A.J. Brown when he demanded to leave. How were they supposed to react? Were they supposed to go, well, thank you for hating our city and wanting to leave? See, this is something where we try to act like humans aren't human, okay? If you touch fire, it hurts, it burns, okay? Because that's a human reaction. Well, if some player goes to you and says, despite the fact that I made the playoffs every single year while I was in Philadelphia, and despite the fact that I won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia and got to another Super Bowl in Philadelphia, I don't want to be here because he got paid and he won a lot. Really, the question should be, what the hell is wrong with A.J. Brown? Okay? What the hell is wrong with A.J. Brown? There are 2 things players claim that they care about. They care about the money first, maybe the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth, and they claim that winning. In Philadelphia, he had both, and he was still unhappy. So I'm supposed to take away that Philly's the problem? Of course not. The only real answer is A.J. Brown's a weirdo, and we should stop treating weirdos like they're normal. That's why they stay weirdos. They'll only stop being weirdos if someone tells them they're a weirdo. The second one was the big trade with the Browns to send Myles Garrett out to the Rams for Jarrett Verse, a 2027 first, a 2028 second, and a 2029 third round pick. And what's crazy about this is I have to say the Cleveland media did a terrible job. Jarrett Verse has been loving being in Los Angeles. He talks about his days off, the weather, how he goes to the beach and all this stuff, and now he lives in Cleveland. And no disrespect to Cleveland, but if you've ever been to Los Angeles and you've ever been to Cleveland, the cities are not the same. And there's no beach to go to in Cleveland because those river beaches don't count unless you're in Chicago. They count there, but nowhere else, okay? Jarrett Verse mentioned that he was upset at first. And then the Cleveland media didn't ask a single follow-up. And I find that to be just plain pathetic, trying to kiss up to Jarrett Verse. Jarrett Verse right now is probably the most unhappy human being on earth with money. Because there's a lot of unhappy poor people. Lack of money will make you cry. I know all about it, okay? Think about when you're younger. When you overdraw your bank account, when you're in your young 20s, that'll make you almost want to cry. Having no money will make you sad. He's the saddest person with money. He goes from Los Angeles thinking he's about to win his first Super Bowl. I'm a famous guy in the city of Los Angeles, but I'm not so famous that I can't move around. The women, the life, all of that stuff, to going to the worst franchise in sports who's trying to get it together. And the Rams are saying, listen, we like you, Jarrett, but not as much as that guy. And that has to feel rejecting, okay? To me, the story is, how does Jarrett Verse even show up to camp hungry? When you don't know who the quarterback is. You got Mr. Massage as your number 1 quarterback. You're in Cleveland. It's cold as hell. You've been playing in a dome in Los Angeles. The weather's so perfect that they didn't bother putting air conditioning in the dome because they don't need it. And now he's in Cleveland. And we're talking about that. Meanwhile, the Rams are the betting favorite. But I'm going to say this right now. With the amount of travel they have to do, with the Australia and all the BS on their schedule, they're the favorites. The Rams, even with Myles Garrett, are not going to win the Super Bowl. And while it is in their stadium, they'll be there watching it. And that's what's going to go down. And the third thing that happened this week is it's dangerous for sports. Not dangerous for life, but it's dangerous for sports. So I think about 2 weeks ago, Caitlin Clark missed the game late for load management with her back. And she is a good player, but she's not a physically hardy player, and they have to manage her. And she's a big, big complainer when it comes to the referees. As you can see right there, that's what she does the most. Well, that reporter, his name is Scott Agnes. He's a beat writer for both the Pacers and the Fever. Well, because he reported that they load manager because of the back, they revoked their credential because of her, because you can't say anything bad about the Golden Child. I'm going to say this out loud. The Fever, that's a bad job. And the Golden Child, that's a bad job. The bottom line is this: that guy did his job. The media is to get us information. If you take away the ability for the people to get information because it's Caitlin Clark, it's just wrong. It's flat wrong. Everybody, you have a very good weekend.
Happy Friday. Welcome to the Newswire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish.